You say you're fine, but I can see right through. You're holding your secrets for way too long. This can't keep going on. With every lie, they keep on hurting you, getting away with everything they do. This can't keep going on. No, we're gonna find them, and I'm gonna fight for you. They better start hiding. We'll be running with the lions, lions. We'll be running with the lions, lions. They can't run, they can't hide. We won't stop until they're down. We'll be running with the lions, lions.
Well, hello everyone and happy Sunday. Welcome to Gloves Off. Today I have such an exciting guest. He is my first international guest all the way from Germany. But before I get into all that, I wanted to thank the viewers who have been watching and following every week. I so appreciate that. I would love for you to like and share my content with anyone you feel this would resonate with. And for those of you who are new, Gloves Off is a show that is really fostering positivity amongst humanity and amongst our world, because there's so much out there in the media daily that is just very negative and very fear-based. And this was my opportunity to showcase people like the ones that I've interviewed on the show who are really embracing their authenticity, taking their gloves off in the world, embracing the vulnerability, and bringing beautiful, beautiful things into the world. So, as I mentioned, my guest today is from Germany. And interestingly enough, what I love about the world that we live in today is that our world is so connected through the internet. So Wolfgang and I actually met on LinkedIn. And it's funny because even these days in business, I just get a vibe out of people just from their profiles or their posts or whatnot. I saw this man's profile and looked into some of his posts. And what I loved is that he is actually a coach for women. He likes to foster growth, resilience, and success amongst female entrepreneurs. But the quirky thing was that in his description, he said that he likes to work with women and some cool men. And I have to say that really resonated with me because, you know, I would say that my business is so much of the same. I do a lot of coaching for women, but I'm not opposed to coaching men, just the really cool ones. So I love that. But before we deep dive into Wolfgang and his story and bring him on board, I just want to obviously highlight my sponsor, Elevated CPA. I know that all of us dread tax season and it's never a fun thing, but I have to say that I think your tax experience is about as good as your accountant is. When your accountant has your back and is taking care of all the important things for you, you don't really have to sweat tax season as much as you might have in the past. All right, everybody, are we ready to meet our first international guest from Germany? I'm going to bring on Wolfgang von Geramb. I had to really think about how to say that name a couple of times, but welcome to Gloves Off.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. You know what? International is that you are really building the bridge. uniting us on this planet. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, I love it. I love the world. When we spoke in our initial Zoom conversation, we were talking about how much I love traveling. I've been to 5 continents, and then you and I talked about meeting the next time I go to Amsterdam, because apparently you're not far from there. You're in what, Hamburg, right? Am I saying
Yes,
it correctly? So
yes, Hamburg, Germany. Yeah.
tell me a little bit about the area you live. I mean, and for all of our viewers, so that we have a little more insight into other parts of the world.
Oh, yeah. So Hamburg is known for its harbor. And so it's a big harbor city in northern of Germany, second largest city, 2 million um, people living in this wonderful place. And so what we also say, it's really flat. No, it's not true. We have a mountain, and I am a mountain lover. And our high mountain is 126 meters high. I think this is about like, what is like 400 feet?
Oh, yeah. So not very big.
Psh, that's our mountain. That's all we have. That's a real mountain, and you need to
Okay.
climb it. So, and I love living in this city, and but also I'm craving also a lot about going somewhere else. It's always calling me. And maybe it's a harbor city. My wife, she loves living here. She comes from here. She is third generation from Hamburg, and she loves it because of, yeah, it's her roots. And and that's why I like it. It's a harbor city. They say Hamburg is the portal to the world, and I
Oh,
constantly go out through it
interesting. So why do they say it's the portal to the world?
because it's a trading city. It's a harbor and
Oh,
trading city.
no,
So
that makes sense.
container boats, and there was always a trader city. So that's why people from the world come here, and it's a really open and really international city.
Oh,
And
it
that's
sounds wonderful.
we have more Michelin restaurants now. We are leading Michelin restaurants.
Oh, that's
Really,
all
I
you
don't
had
know.
to say. I'm there.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like how, and this is through the international inspiration, right?
Mm. Well, I'm such a foodie, and I had my first experience at a Michelin restaurant in France. I had gone a
Mm,
couple of years ago, and I was actually knew some native people there, so they took us to this restaurant. It was a trip that my brother and I were on,
yeah.
and of course, they spoke the language, so that helped, and they knew the chef. So it was such an amazing, amazing
Mm.
experience. So when I come visit, I think that we're going to have to do that.
We have to do it. And it's like there's one, I mean, it's also the 3-star Michelin table. It's called The Table.
Ooh.
And an amazing thing about that, he said, the chef said, the problem about in all these like beautiful, shiny, like Michelin star restaurants is people make it all about the food. But
Mhm.
then everybody's so separated. And he said, you know what? I have one big table. I want to have one big table in this restaurant where we all sit together.
That's great. I
And
love that.
yeah, and so, but he took it really creative. So it's really going up and down. It's a crazy table. But
Mhm.
so this is how he brings people together. It's about connection. And then you start talking about food and other things. And so it's a really joyful experience. So when you come, let's go there.
Yeah, really, that's why I connected with you, for the invite to go to Michelin star restaurants
Yeah.
and to come visit your city, really. I had some ulterior motives.
Yeah, I think that is the most interesting intro start I ever had.
That is very cool. So, and then tell me a little bit more about, how you got into this line of work, and, what lights you up about the work you do. I want our viewers to know all about that with you.
Okay, so if you want to get to know me, I would say it's especially when you ask my wife. It is I always get up in the morning. And then I'm embarrassing the family. Every morning I get up and embarrass the family. And you wonder why? It's simple. I love dancing. Every morning I get up, brush my teeth, glass of water, go in the garden and dance barefoot. It doesn't matter rain or shine or snow every morning. Because
I love this. I mean, what a beautiful way to start the day. So are they embarrassed because people can see you, or are you
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
the neighbors can watch in the garden, and it's a dancing. It's called kinergy. It's a mix about breathing, movement, imagination, and it's such a playful way to start the day.
okay?
But the neighbors,
I'm gonna ask you now to show us. Are you gonna show us?
of course, I will send you a video. I can
Oh,
say,
darn it.
you know
I
what?
was hoping you
I
were
will
gonna give
send
it.
you a video for that. Promise, I will put in and show you. I show you my dancing video.
Okay, perfect. I love it.
Yeah,
All right.
and
I had to interrupt you for this brief
yeah,
second
yeah,
because I
yeah.
was so
And
curious
it's
about
all
this
good. It's all
dancing.
good. I think it's a conversation, right? And
Absolutely.
um, and so that's why really. And my wife, she hates it. She thinks it's
I,
so
but you do
embarrassing.
it anyway. I love it.
I do it anyway. And so, like, she always like when I go outside, she's like, "Oh my god, I gotta be quick." She goes out with a dog, and when I'm back, when she's back, she makes sure that I'm almost done dancing, and then we always meet for coffee every morning. And
At least
and
she has coffee with you after the dance
yeah,
that you
and she
embarrassed her
says,
with.
"I hate the dancing, but I love the result. You're always in a good mood," and so I accept it. Well, 25 years of marriage, you need to survive somehow, right?
Right. Oh, I think it's a great story. You know what that says to me though? It's deeper than just this dance and the embarrassment aspect of it. To me, what that says is that you feel safe enough in your marriage to be whatever, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, crazy, because, we have this
Yeah,
society has this way of telling us what's normal and what's not. And I
yeah,
don't care about that. But whatever you feel like doing, which is authentically you, you are free to do. And it's okay if it embarrasses other people. I love that you have enough, acknowledgement of yourself to do it anyway. And I love that she's created the space for you and that it's just a funny joke, it sounds like, which is
it
amazing.
is a funny joke, and but I love it when she nods her head and like, and I love this is when I love most when then she says, "Okay, just have coffee, make me a coffee," and it's like, and it's just a beautiful way of starting the day because
It's great.
it's fun, and it's also like it gets me out of my head.
Hmm.
Because sometimes, like I wake up, maybe you notice also as an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
I wake up, my eyes are still closed, and the BS radio starts already. Like the things I have to do, or things like, and I said, like, I need to go quick. And like, get up, get out. And once my feet are touching the ground and I hear music, my my brain cannot like talk to me anymore. So I was like, brain, you go there, I'm dancing.
So you have found a way to control I love it. The BS radio is great because in my personal opinion, our mind has a lot of BS. I feel like our
Oh, yes.
intuition is way more the truth. And I think it's about learning. I had one of my spiritual coach puts it this way. She says, learn to be the CEO of your own brain. You don't like what it says? Tell it to shut up. And now I'm like, shut up, shut
I
up.
love this. This is so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I do now. Because our
Yeah.
mind will foster a negativity, the one thing that isn't working out. I caught myself doing it this morning. I have so many amazing things going on in my life, and I caught myself focusing on the one thing that maybe I'd like to see improve. And then I said, "Shut up. My life is
Yeah.
great.
Shut
Shut
up.
up."
Oh
And then
my
I
God.
moved on.
I love this. Yeah. I love the CEO approach. Can I steal it?
You could steal it. I mean, it wasn't
Okay, great.
original to me, so but it
That's
was
it.
original to
Oh,
her.
let's all
So
copy and steal what we find, what we like from each other. I think this is the
yeah,
best.
we'll quote her. Her name is Sunshine. So I was like, we'll quote her on that and give her credit. I think
Yeah.
she came up with. I don't know if she came up with it, but she told me about it, and it was amazing. I was like, wow, this really is very effective
Yeah.
because I think until somebody puts it in that way that you're the boss of your brain, it thinks it's the boss of you until you realize that you can control it.
Yeah. 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 That's
It
so
just
true.
reframes everything so beautifully. So
Yeah. Now you said reframing, and I think like reframing is to me a keyword, reframing positivity. And this is like also this is what describes my work so perfectly because I mean I am a coach, mentor, consultant for female entrepreneurs, and really guiding entrepreneur women to so they can really unleash their dreams and this growth dreams they have. And yeah, and of course, there's and some cool men. There's also, we can come back to the cool men later.
Yeah,
And
only a few cool men. No, there are lots of cool men.
and some are cool. Yeah,
So
because to
why
me,
did you, sorry, I want to go back to just why did you, I mean, for me, you know, I'm a woman, so it makes sense that I want to coach women. I actually do really like coaching men. It's just that some men are not as open to it being coached by a woman. But what made you decide that working with female entrepreneurs was your niche?
There's two stories. So the one thing is that why I really enjoy it, it's really because of positivity, the openness, and all of this. But how did it all happen? I didn't see it coming, actually. When I built my background is design. I started work as a designer in a lot of agencies in Germany and LA, and then I decided I want to open my own design studio, and I started it from scratch, from free, like being an only designer to 40 people, and over 13 years. Then I sold my business and I restarted 8 years ago, just from my background story. And then I thought, I want to work like with people, coaching, working, building organizations, helping them with structures. I love working with people, and this is what I couldn't do when I had, in the end, when I was just managing my company with the 40 people. I was the only one I could not work with people. That's why it was also a good time to sell. Okay, but that's a different story. So, and so I came up, oh man, midlife transition, finding your new path. And I already went like 3-4 years down my path, start work with startups. And I was like, oh, now I know what I want to do. I just coach my story, helping people like men in midlife transition, finding what's meaningful in the world, right? Something more once you ticked all the boxes, you made all the money, you built the companies, all this. So what's next, right? What is something you can be proud of? Like seeing the world, like what needs to be done. And I said, yes, they will be really purpose driven then, because they have everything. So I worked, and this is how I started my company, The Second Mountain. Find your second mountain. And I was working for 2 years on this topic, guiding men to their second mountain. And actually, I just found some cool men. There were most of them. It was really interesting. Men in midlife, they are mostly interested about themselves. Now it's time for me. Now it's my time. I did so much. Now it's my time. And when it's my time, it's basically, I want to live like James Bond. Great cars, traveling the world, flying there. And I said, you know what? Sorry, you didn't get it. Did you look around? This is not the story I want to tell my kids. I have 4 godchilds, and they are all girls. They all this. And so I said, if I want to tell, now there's Aurélie, and I really like her a lot, and she's 9. And so how can I tell Aurélie that I was spending my time working for entrepreneurs who sold their business, they have millions in the account, and helping them to behave like James Bond and destructing the planet and not caring about anything, just acting for the next fun. And I said, I can't. This is just wrong. And there were really a few cool men, a really few who got it. And they want to work on something more meaningful, to align personal joy with meaningful work, giving back, serving while giving. You can make amazing money while doing good things. But let's 100%. Focus on good things.
100%. And I was going to point out, it's funny because I think that's where this whole midlife crisis came from, because of watching historically men behave in this way around the midlife. So me personally, I think I had shared with you, I went through, I call it a midlife awakening, because I wasn't really out to just for the next bit of fun. I knew that what I was doing in surgery, it was definitely contributing to society, but not in my best and highest way. So because of that, I felt there was something else I needed to do. I wasn't sure what it was. And that was when I started to go down the transition. Unfortunately, my journey included a
Mm,
divorce because that was part of what I had to do. And, you know, I wish it wasn't that way, but it was. And I learned a lot more about myself and finally
yeah.
came to this path. But I think that's one other thing that society as a whole needs to reframe, because there are people who make changes in their life, but they're not necessarily negative. If they're purpose driven and if they are changes towards a greater good or a greater service of others or society, I don't think it should be called a midlife crisis.
Yeah, I love the awakening. And I think
Hmm.
to me, it was an awakening. But to me, awakening also comes with a little bit a surprise. And that it was. It was surprise was after 2 years of making fantastic events and gatherings, and all these men came, but they weren't ready to do the work, or they didn't want to do the work I wanted to give with them. So they just wanted to have fun. It's not girls want to have fun, it's like old boys want to have fun, right?
I mean,
And
I've experienced that in the dating world. I mean, I've
yeah,
experienced exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, yeah. And this is like, and so how did you feel? How did you feel dating these men? They said, "Yeah, I have all to give," right?
Right. So, what I have seen, and this is obviously just my own personal limited
Yeah.
experience, I never like to make generalizations, but what I've seen is that I have encountered. So, let me start by saying I think we always mirror and attract where we are in our journey. So, because of that, I
Mm.
have seen that what was happening before is not the same thing happening now. But now for me, a deal breaker is a man who doesn't have a sense of purpose. I
Mm.
won't go out with anybody that doesn't have a sense of purpose. And the purpose can't be a job. It has to be a life purpose, because for me, how is that possibly aligned? Somebody who just
Right.
wants to go to work and just have a job is not in alignment with what I need in my life. So they have to be purpose driven. They have to have done the work. So that's where we get into the difficulties.
That's their need to, yeah. And then
Yes, a
because the
lot of
work,
them, even ones who I have met that do have a life purpose, I would say that many of them have shown me a facade. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. A facade of that they're doing the work. They're very deeply embedded in spirituality or something. But you know what? Spirituality isn't where you are standing from a mountaintop preaching. That's
yeah.
not what spirituality is. Well, I mean, a recent person that I had met, that's
I,
exactly what he did. And I
yeah.
thought, you don't even know me. You don't know what my spiritual journey has been like. So how can you assume that I'm on a, like, that my journey is not as evolved as yours? But that was the assumption that we started with. Right
Oh,
there, that's a ego driven principle. So therefore, it was quick for me to identify that you haven't done the work. So yeah,
mm.
I think that the challenge is really true, but I didn't understand it in the way that you're describing it, that they just want to have fun. I guess Cyndi Lauper needs to make another song.
Yeah, I think she does. And yeah, and so what then happened, a friend of mine asked me, like, Wolfgang, so I said, like, oh, because I was complaining. So I was miserable. I said, like, it's not working. It was such a brilliant idea. It was fitting my story. I felt confident, but it wasn't working. And it also was not fulfilling. And so I said, no, I don't get the right clients. And so he said, Wolfgang, okay, let's be practical. Who are your 10 best clients? And I said, Asia, Martina, another Martina, Sylvia. And he said, huh? Is this guys' names? I said, shit. You know what? Of top 10 clients, there were 8 women and 2 men. I didn't realize I was so focused. It just happened. They were referred to me. They found me. We just stumbled over each other on the internet, and then it's like, oh my gosh, my calling is serving female founders. There is like, and they decide, I didn't see it. And it took me 2 weeks. I talked to my team and said, sorry, this was like goodbye, second mountain. We are restarting. And we've refound it. It's still called the second mountain, but it's had nothing about like life purposing. It's more a growth journey. That's good about the mountains. Mountains are more flexible. It's still a transformation journey because behind there is a process of transformation. We can apply it on personal processes, but you can also apply it on business topics. It depends. We all have different journeys. I love transformation. And so I've said, like, I put it on LinkedIn. We are now the female founder coaches, and this is what we do. And we stopped writing when we said a goodbye letter to the guys. And the funny thing, cool men appeared. They said, I really liked what you're doing. And do I find the book? I have to look at David's book about how female founders raise money. I don't know where the book is.
That's okay. David, I just think it's so cool that you wound up just attracting, clearly, and that's more of a feminine sort of trait, if you will, if we want to apply, define masculine, feminine traits to things. But so you just unknowingly had already attracted your right clientele, but didn't even know it because you were so focused on your mind of what you thought it should be, right? I've been there, done that.
And then I got really scared. Then the moment I said, like, but I don't know why. I don't know anything. And then I said, like, you know what? I need to start. I want to like really be really good in that. And I really like serve. And you said something about the guru from the dating experience. Like, you know what? The worst thing that someone can say to me, or thank God no one ever said it, but the worst thing when you really want to hurt me, say like, you're mansplaining.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, and someone said this, like, I talked to a friend, and she's like, oh, she was also talking about like, that guy was so mansplaining. And I was like, okay, if someone ever said this, if one of your clients, then you're dead. You better listen. And then I started an interview series, and I was interviewing 100 female founders on the world. Just listening.
That is so smart. And you know what? That's the key word. You were listening. And that's where I think women, I'm sure that's where the term came up. I don't know. But when somebody's mansplaining, what really happens is a woman feels like she's not being listened to. And to be honest, there are those men out there that women just naturally gravitate towards. I would say that you were one of them. I mean, on our first conversation, you and I got into some deep conversations, and we literally just connected on LinkedIn. And in 5 minutes, we were just talking about our whole life story. So you have that way about you where you connect with the right people very easily. So it didn't surprise me when I met you that you work with women. I was like, I could see that. I would work with you for sure.
See that. Yeah. And so thank you. And so this is like, and then listening helped me to understand. First, I didn't see the pattern. It was like, and the thing is, like, the truth is, every woman is so unique. And there's just what's the similarity is, it's the society stories, the stories of society. No?
Yep. We're conditioned.
Yeah.
Women are very conditioned with society. I talk about this.
Be humble, be pretty, don't speak out loud, and all this stuff, right? And was like, I thought, and this was very interesting. I thought first, I need to find that pattern of the women. No, and I said, no, it's not the pattern. Like, they're all unique. We're all unique, but it's never. Society is. I mean, men are also conditioned. That's also truth.
100%.
But there is more conditioning on women. And,
I would agree with that.
Female founders are on this edge to break free. More, they're not willing to take this anymore, and also their positioning, and also the way there's these companies and this purpose. That's not the topic. Purpose that's not a big topic. It's just weaved in.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. And Societal conditioning is has a very big role in young women. Like I actually wrote about this in my book. It actually starts at a very young age. Like you can go back to Disney movies and go watch Disney cartoons. And
Mm,
one point I bring up in my book is The Little Mermaid. There
mm,
is a scene in The Little Mermaid when Ariel gives her voice
yeah.
to the sea witch. You have boys, so maybe you don't watch this movie, but I always loved Disney movies growing up, so I just like to watch them even as an adult. And then in the song that the sea witch is singing, she says, "It's she who keeps quiet that gets the man." There
Yeah.
literally is a statement like that,
Is
and I
he
thought,
who, oh my gosh, is
she
she
who keeps quiet, or she who keeps her mouth shut, who gets them. I can't remember what it was, but that was the general gist of it. And I was mortified. I had to call it out in my book because this is how we condition young girls. Be pretty. Don't speak up. Oh, I can't tell you that it took me, well, probably into like my late 40s to really learn how to speak up for myself with all this conditioning. And then there's cultural conditioning. Different cultures have additional conditioning behind it. So it's just,
Yeah.
but I love that you identified this and you listened to the point where you saw that this thread was woven into so many stories that you heard.
Yeah, and thank you. And yeah, it's beautiful to see this and also seeing this internationally. And I'm a member of EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization.
Mm-hmm.
It's a global network, like 80,000 members. And I was president here in Hamburg. And
Mm-hmm.
and with that, it was the organization said we need more women.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it was like a that's not so nicely said, but the point was really they understood that the landscape is so changing, and also that we need to like really have a more equal balanced entrepreneurship landscape. And so with that, we saw also that these entrepreneur clubs or in EO, it was the public there were not enough female founders because maybe they thought there's just jerks there. Like, why should we join? And so, but we are all can grow from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I reached out to a lot of entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs worldwide, and from really I have 10, 50 million turnover, 10 million, 5 million, 1 million, 500,000, making my first 100,000. So the range, and a lot of stories kept repeating.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I would say, a lot of outside expectations were repeating.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you balance the expectations
Right,
with
right.
your inner calling?
Yeah, that is really the journey, not only just for women. I mean, men share the same journey.
Yeah.
I think there's a point where women, I don't know if it's all women, but I know for me, there was something I felt stirring deep within me that I knew something had to be figured out. I didn't even know what it was. And I had to quiet the noise all around me and learn to drop down into my own intuition. And rather than use my brain and logic so much as I used to do in the past in my days in medicine, one of the things that I'm finding is serving me so beautifully is to come from a place of intuition that guides
Yeah.
me. And I think women, maybe I believe men really have great intuition too. I just wonder if, unfortunately, societal conditioning
Where is
has
it? Can you find me? Can tell me where can I find it? The intuition.
oh yeah, I don't know. I feel like you've got it. But it's so interesting because we have to quiet ourselves. And I think societal conditioning has done one thing to women, but another thing to men. Almost
Yeah.
maybe they believe that they don't have this intuition, they can't get it, it's a
Yeah.
female trait, blah, blah, blah. I don't actually believe any of that is true. I mean,
And the
there are,
cool men have this intuitional access.
they
And
do, they do.
this is the one who came. This is the one who stayed. And they come for this. They come because I am mentoring and working with female founders. That's why they say,
That's so cool.
well, you don't want it because it's intuition. It's also because playfulness is also intuition. It's this allowing, this is also like when we come back to dancing the garden, it's this self-allowance of being nurturing the inner child, right? Nurturing this. Yeah, some
I
people
love
can
it.
call me crazy, and I love it.
You know, we're going to bring you back on the show and we're going to you're going to show me the video of the dance and
Yeah,
then I'm going to learn, well, I don't have to learn it because I assume that it's very free flowing. So I'm going to do my version of it. You're going to do your version of it. And we're going to do we're going to do a show where we
yeah,
start with that. Next time I have you on, that's how it's going to go.
yeah.
We're going to really embarrass your wife.
Oh my gosh. I love this.
She's going to
I,
change her last name and say,
yeah.
I don't know him.
That's so
Oh,
fun.
that's great. Well, what a fun journey of evolution for you that this has been.
Yeah,
Now, and it's funny, I wanted to ask you about this earlier, and then we just have such a great conversation as it is every time.
yeah,
But I want to talk a little bit about your mother, and we're going to have to deep dive into the rest
yeah,
of that story because I know there's so much to unpack there. But my sense when you and I first spoke, you automatically brought up your mother, which I absolutely loved. And I know that she's been such a prominent figure in your life.
yeah.
So I want you to tell me a little bit about her, how she shaped your life. And my gut feeling is that she has shaped your approach to women, probably helping foster this beautiful dynamic between you and your clients and also with you and your wife. So I know that's like a very
Mm,
big question, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
yeah. So yeah, you should know like I'm born in Italy. I'm born in Rome, and my mother is from Rome. So so I'm married I am, and she married an Austrian professor, a scientist, and so when they got married, they lived in the US, and then she got pregnant, and then I got back to Italy, and I was born, and then they went straight to Germany. So my mother was growing up in Germany, or like basically raising me in Germany, and she didn't speak their language. And my father, let's say, he had a complicated way of showing her, I love you. He always put her, I mean, she's an art historian. She's interested in, she's, if you want to know anything about Renaissance, that's her. Her room is, you don't see the wall because she lives in a library. And she's really tiny. She would reach about here. She's this tiny Italian woman. And she really, she's a city woman. She wants to explore, discuss. And my father was always afraid he could leave her. She could leave him. So what he did, he moved us to the countryside without a car. And so she needed to always live in the countryside without a car, living there with really nice people. But on the countryside, even in Germany, they are not really well in English. So she only had to like start learning somehow German. And so this was really a way of limiting her. And but still, like, she was a great mom. We have two siblings, and she was really always taking care of her about us. But she really wanted to grow, so she started painting, and she started like making little boxes, and she really started painting them and selling them to. This was her way of expressing because she was with the language not so confident, but she wanted to find a way to give to the people and show art to the people. And yeah,
Oh, I
that's
love that.
first
I
part of
have
the
a
story.
I have a few questions about this
Yeah,
because I'm like just fascinated by the story. So because I see so many parallels and a lot of the things that I'm coaching women with, women will often find, well, I don't want to say find, but sometimes women will attract relationships that keep them limited. And
yeah,
I think that there is a point of attraction there because maybe in their own mind, they don't see themselves as limitless and in their highest potential, possibly. I wonder if that's a portion of it. But I think it's so interesting that she, kind of dealt with all these difficult things, but found a way to express herself in the way that it seemed to work for her. You know, so it's still interesting how creative she was and still
Yeah.
finding something that made her feel grounded, something that made her feel like her throughout this process of being limited. And that's just a form of control. And I feel like one thing I've noticed is that in any relationship, I'm talking any relationship, whether it's business, personal, friendship, romantic, if there's ever that discord of somebody doesn't feel like on the same level playing field, these weird dynamics do enter into it.
Mm.
That's just what I've seen in my own experience.
Yeah, and they were even there. I mean, they're both scientists. They love history. They have so much in common. And
Hmm.
something happened when they came back to, when they moved to Germany. There was something off, and I think that, but this is a more an assumption. There's the topic of my grandmother really weaved in. It is like we need to be always the like make your hair pretty pictures sent to mom to Austria. The like being proud of. He was my father was telling my grandmother like, oh yeah, kids are fantastic in school. We're not so fantastic. Um,
So
that's
he
like
wanted that picture perfect life to report
yeah.
back to
So
his
yeah,
mother.
and my mother, she was interested in art and growing and learning, and so she was, let's say, but she was also a person about you guys will make it. And so and she's like, and so he thought when he came home and she was not, we were not learning, we were, or she was not sitting with the learning, he freaked out. He
Mm.
really freaked out. And one day he just saw, he came out. I wanted to go to badminton. This is like squash thing like
Mhm.
no, I want to go. And I was like, there was my pack, wanted to go. The only thing you could do in this village, it was like really 500 people. It was really boring. Um, but this was, I really enjoyed it. And so he came home. My mom was sitting there having with his friends coffee and discussing over art and stuff. He came in and he was just, oh, he's not learning. And so he freaked out. He just grabbed my racket player. He went behind the house and took how do you call it, an axe, and he was chopping it. Everybody was just screaming. It just was, everyone was crying, screaming. And there was this really freak outside. It was, he said, we need to be like perfect. Why do you destroy it? And short time after, we packed our stuff early in the morning. He went to work, and when he was came back in the evening, we were gone.
What year was this?
I was like 14,
Okay.
12, 13, 14, like that.
Okay.
And my sister was like 12, and my brother was like 10.
So what year around was that? Do you approximately?
This was like 84, 5. Yeah.
So it's a really hard thing to do in the 80s, right? You know, just to kind of like pack up and
Yeah.
leave,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
we
for
got
your
like a
mom's school.
social home from the local, and this is a village. This is like my mom. She was not didn't have a name in this village. She was called Miss Professor.
Mm.
So this is like she was Miss. So now she was the divorced or like the almost divorced woman. And then we moved to Hamburg, and and so and she there we moved, and so there was. And there I this was her seeing her blooming. She went there, we went in an area, she said she picked an area of Hamburg, which was in that time, this is where all the migration people lived. The Italians, the Turk, the Jews, everything. It was a melting pot. It was
Hmm.
not the most where people would say, oh my gosh, you're living in Altona. Like, are you really like there?
Hmm.
Today, it's the most expensive area in the city because from where the multicultural, where the artists came the money, the gentrification, and now everything is a melting pot. My mom still lives there, and but it was like she wanted to feel home. She wanted to live between accents, into different foods. She wanted to taste life. She went back to university. She studied again. She published a book, and she really like this is like when I saw her blooming, right? like her freeing, and I was so proud of her.
That's
And then
amazing.
yeah, and then I got angry.
Oh, at your mom?
Yes,
Okay.
because she published the book, and it was the little because she knows everything about Renaissance. She found
Hmm.
out about Raphael the painter. She about a really famous painting in the in St. Peter. She decoded the picture, and it is groundbreaking. But she
Ooh.
didn't write the book about that. This was her big work. She published about a small city, architecture work, really amazing. But she got so much critic for publishing it. She got either ignored or criticized.
What was the
All
criticism about?
about the book, this
Oh.
is not because she was, of course, in science is about you publish a new book, and it's
Hmm.
of course it's putting a new thesis.
Oh, yes.
It
Yes.
fuels the fire. But oh, the Earth is not it's not flat anymore.
Right, right.
Right? If the world is not flat, so that's why she got all this. She got either ignored or criticized.
Hmm.
And you know what happened? She went back into her chamber. She stopped writing. She didn't publish the big work. She's now 84. I beg her, like the professors of the university said, like, please, please write it. We give you students to write it, but your work the world needs to see it. That's so important. But she felt so hurt again.
No.
And I said, yeah, that's I'm angry at her. Because she proved it once that she can stand up for her kids. Why can't she not stand up for herself?
Oh,
For
but
what she wants.
that is
That's
a lot to unpack because women will stand up for their kids. We tend not to stand up for ourselves, and I can tell you that that resonates in my own life as well.
I'm really like, I'm feeling that. It's like, sorry, like, oh my gosh, you got me emotional here.
Yeah, oh, it's okay. That's what I do. That's what I do with Gloves Off. I get people emotional. But I could tell you from my own journey that I found it very easy to stick up for other people. I could be an advocate for my patients. I could be an advocate for other people, my children, my family, and everybody. But do you know how long it took me to be an advocate for me? I swear
Mm,
to God, I'm still working on it a little bit more every day. I'm pretty good, but there are still places in my life where I still am not the best advocate for me. But I think I have a really big turning point in the last few weeks that I just broke through something big. And that's a story for another day. But it is hard for women. So I wonder how much of that ties into why you do what you do. That this feeling of that your mom, she stopped something, she stopped the world from having something it needed to have rest within you that and now you don't want to see that to happen to another woman. I feel like that, I don't know whether you knew it or not, I feel like that's so much of maybe why you do what you do. I mean, I don't know, I'm putting words in your mouth, but I wonder.
yeah, I would say, yeah, I think that's pretty clear. And
We don't realize it sometimes
yeah, it's
how
like
it resonates.
I'm like in the clarity. I'm a little shocked now. Yeah.
But so listen though, it's a gift she gave you because it wouldn't have. My mother gave me a lot of gifts. She passed last year, and I saw, you know, the things that happen in her life. I wanted them to be different for me. So she gave me a lot of gifts in showing me what was and that it didn't have to be that way. And I feel your mother gave you that gift as well, because I think that mothers tend to do that. just they
Yeah.
just know they do something, but it's our job to see what happened to them and see how we could change it. So, maybe you should tell her you're mad at her in a
I
cute,
would,
nice way,
you know what?
in a
Honestly,
respectful way.
yeah, yeah, no, the thing like that, she is a source of inspiration. And I
Mhm.
think also like there's also the topic of this is what I also needed to learn. I mean, there's first comes anger, then comes understanding.
Mhm.
And with after understanding comes respect. And I really respect her a lot. And
Well, so do I, and I don't even know her. I want to meet her.
because I respect her decision. You know, it was a decision for peace. It was something more important to her to publish it. It was not her ego. Also, it was something else. She could have. If she wanted, she could have. But she decided for something else. And for that, it doesn't come from a place of victim, or she's not a victim. She's a creator of her own life. And she picked something that she loves more than writing the book. Because if we are honest, I think she thinks it's really boring because she loves solving the puzzle. That's what I have from her. I love puzzle solving. But you know what? Writing the book is so much effort. And she said, you know what? I enjoyed the joy time. So maybe it's the smartest decision. And so I respect her for that she took, it was a riddle. It took her 15 years to unpack. Wow. If she doesn't want to write it, you know what? It's her decision. And so I respect that.
Have you ever thought about really talking to her about this? I'm so curious now. Like, I feel like I want to know. I feel like we're at this, like at the climax of a great story. And like, now this is the cliffhanger. So why didn't you do it?
Mom.
We got to call mom.
We got to call mom. You know what? I will make this a really nice dinner. And especially like my mom, she cannot leave home anymore because she has a lung disease. So she can breathe and so, but so going awesome. But you know what? I can bring the world to her. And and I can bring the world to her and make a really nice dinner, and I just share it. I just make it about her. And I think, it's
I have to tell you, I just got chills all over my body when you said that. I think that this would be something that would be so memorable to her. I don't even know her, but I can't imagine any mother that this wouldn't be memorable to. I mean, I have 2 sons, so if one of them did this, I would hint, hint. No, for when they watch it. So hint, hint. Kids.
Yeah.
But I think that for a mother, just to have something like that be done for her is such a beautiful testament. And then I have to say that I would love to follow up with you and see what insight you gain from that conversation.
I promise I will do it. And I don't know what's happening.
Well, we'll have to have you back on the show, because now our audience is going to be wondering, and we've given them a great cliffhanger. So that's a good
cliffhanger.
Once this transpires and after you've had some chance to unpack it, because this clearly is like something deep, you'll probably open up the surface and then there'll be some deep diving you have to do. So once you've unpacked it all, maybe in a few months, we have to have you back on the show. So we talk about what you found out, because we sometimes don't even know what our family or our parents have gone through, what's going through their minds until we talk to them. I don't know if I told you when we last spoke, but my father and I have developed a relationship since my mother has passed that I didn't even think was possible. I mean, my father was this authoritarian figure, and I never thought I could have these hilarious conversations with him. We watch Bollywood movies together. He tells me crazy little stories about when he was a kid and some things of the past, and just things I never thought to ask him. And he's going to be 87 this year. And I didn't even know this man till just recently. How is that even possible? We don't know, because we see them in a certain way, probably as we saw them in our childhood. But you know what? We change, they change. Sometimes we don't have enough space for that. So I feel very blessed that I had the opportunity to ask my dad the questions. Oh, I told him I was mad at him too. I did. I mean, I was mad about some things, because
how did he react? How did he react? Was he surprised or?
Not really. He knew, because they were very strict. I'm a rebel. So what happens to me is if you are very strict and tell me not to do something, that's exactly what I want to do. When I was a teenager, I was very rebellious. I caused them a lot of grief, which I feel bad about. So I told him, I said, you know what, Dad, if you had just given me the freedom, I would have been fine. And he goes, well, I don't know about that. He goes, but it was my responsibility to make sure that you were raised in a proper way. And I did what I could to make sure that happened. And he's like, and you turned out fine, so you can't say I'm wrong. I'm like, Okay,
Mm.
fair. Fair.
Yeah, that sounds cute. Yeah.
So anyway, I love that we have these conversations. They're open, they're honest. We have a good time. We laugh, we joke in ways that we never did before. So I think what I'd love to see is that you open up some sort of communication with your mom and find out some really cool stuff, because we don't ask them enough about their
Yeah.
lives and their history. They are a wealth of information. So my goal is every time I see him, and I'll be seeing him soon, I really dive deep and ask him questions about
And
anything I can think of.
he loves it.
He loves it. He really, really does love it.
They
So
have such a rich life to give.
they
This less
do.
future is more about past, and they know everything. Like, how can they share? Where do they go with all this knowledge, all these feelings, all these stories? Like, they wish they can just pass it on. Someone
Yes.
cares. It's
So
so
I've just anything I can think of that I need to know, I just ask him. And we just share great, insightful conversations. My favorite one was, he said to me the other day, he goes, a couple of weeks or months ago or something, goes, I don't know, you just do these things and you just do them. And I don't know, you just could just be less risky. And I go, Dad, you came all the way from India when you had a, just born baby, which was me, and you came to the United States. So he looks at me, he goes, okay, I guess I was risky too. So funny. I was like, yeah, we're starting to realize we're a lot alike, and we didn't realize
oh,
it.
that's so fun. And so wonderful that you really can, yeah, see this when once and until he's like as he's still alive, and also this is so healing, and I
Yeah,
think
it's beautiful. It's
it's
beautiful.
healing work. Yeah.
Agreed. It really has. So we're almost out of time. We're going to have you back on the show again in a couple of months. But I wanted to have you tell the audience where to find you, how to work with you, and anything that they need to know about you before we wrap up today. Okay?
All right, thank you so much. All right, so if you want to find me, it's really simple. You find me on The Second Mountain, and that's also the website, thesecondmountain.com. This is where we can just connect, or LinkedIn. We put this in the show notes. But the more important is like why we should connect. And I think, first of all, if you want to have a dangerous coffee, right? Like, dangerous in the sense of a really open conversation, like something you want to share with someone or discuss with someone, I'm there to listen. And also to give you a new perspective, maybe on the same thoughts, because this is what I learned and what helped me the most. Someone that listens and gives me a new perspective. Because once and also if you have a dog like me, I don't know if you hear that one, if you have a trick to keep them calm in these kind of meetings, I would like to know this from you. Okay, so besides that, what I really enjoy doing is really finding this path to get a breakthrough. And I think this is what we all need. And a breakthrough is not telling the other person what they need to do, because you know that already. This is one thing I really learned from my 100+ interviews with entrepreneur women. You know everything. You know everything. Every book, every podcast, it's not a knowledge topic. I cannot teach you anything new. I promise. Probably everything you heard already. But the topics, how can we make it together happen? How can we go through? How can I be the Sherpa and climb with you the mountain? How can we move out of that home together? How can we pass this challenge in your business? How can we do this together, right? How can we overcome this challenge? Because together, it's challenging, but it's not frightening. It's an adventure. And I think life is there to be lived.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You're right. Together, it is an adventure. And you know what? We all need each other, and we need support systems. And the more of that we have, I think it's beautiful. Because you know what? I interview quite a few coaches on the show, but the way I see it, there's plenty of abundance to go around. There's plenty of work for everybody. Everybody has somebody they resonate with. And this is my goal, is to showcase all that. But
Yes.
I can't tell you, this has been such a beautiful, lovely, heartwarming conversation with you. I can't wait to hear about the dinner with your mom and how that turns out. So we'll invite you
Oh,
back,
you
when
made me.
you
Oh
got
my
back.
gosh! Like, and yeah,
Yes.
but thank you, Ray.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you
really.
so much. And we'll see you again soon, and have a fabulous day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.